Hi everybody, this is Dan Stolebarger, and it's Friday, October 23rd, and we just got back from Israel yesterday. And although I did do a Middle East update and put the materials on our website at Holy Ground Explorations, it was an abridged short version, and so I said on that presentation that I would, once I get back, kind of give an overall perspective on the trip to Israel, and I'll attempt to do that at this particular time. But as I mentioned, this is the week of October 19th, and today's the 23rd. So first things first, make sure you go to our website. I'm just going to skip over some things because I've already covered them, but in case you don't have the PowerPoint presentation, I've included it all on the same one, so you can grab that. And that's at holygroundexplorations.com. Click the blog button, and you should get the YouTube video site as well as the PDF PowerPoint presentation. All right? You know, the two words bitter and sweet come to mind. A trip to Israel is always a high point. This time through, I guess my reflections would be that you felt something different. You felt the effects of the terrorism that was going on. And make no mistake about it, in our report we're going to talk about a biased media that's so... It's sickening, to be honest with you, everything that's taking place. When you hear on news presentations, when you hear that X amount of Palestinians were killed, and there's no mention of the fact that they were killed after stabbing or running into a group of Israelis, it's just difficult to understand how perverted our media has become, how one-sided. Well, you know, I definitely feel like there's a demonic aspect to all of this as well, so it shouldn't come as a surprise. So on one hand, it's always an amazing time to walk through the land of Israel. To, you know, I always talk about hearing three songs. You need to hear the song of the land, the song of the Lord, as well as the song of the people. And the song of the Lord is always there despite the situation. His promise is to never leave us nor forsake us. Despite what's going on around us, we felt His protection. It's a little odd because everywhere we were at, it seemed like specific terrorist events followed us the next day. Although while we were in Jerusalem, leaving the Damascus Gate on the way to the Garden Tomb, we did witness one of these attempted stabbings and the killing of one of the Palestinians that was in, you know, had stabbed a couple people, and it was just surreal. And the gunshots and all of that were going off, and keep in mind we're passing right out of the Damascus Gate with all that's going on our way to the Garden Tomb. And as I've mentioned, we paused, we prayed, we continue to pray for the peace of Jerusalem, but let's set the record straight. It's going to continue to escalate. It will continue to escalate. As believers, it's important that we find our war rooms, our prayer rooms, or whatever, and make sure that we're praying for the peace of Jerusalem. In spite of everything that's going on, Sharon and I will continue to take groups to Israel. That this sort of thing will not stop us. I hope it won't stop you from going and showing your support, your love, and truly blessing the nation of Israel. Remember, God's promise is that He'll curse those who curse thee and bless those that bless thee. And that's truly going on today. So let me jump into the headlines. Again, some of these you may have already heard because I did post something earlier in the week. But I think it's important that you hear from the Israeli side of things. So, headlines. A Knesset member is basically saying, don't be surprised that suicide bombers are starting to use girls, young girls. They're useful as terrorists because they appear less suspicious than their male counterparts. This incitement over the Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Temple Mount, this is one of the lies, simply the lies that are being told. There's no evidence, no shred of truth whatsoever that Israel is trying to change the status quo or destroy the Al-Aqsa. All it has to do is be spoken, and it will raise to a boiling point the blood of terrorism, the thirst, the desire to destroy. And so some of these funerals that have been taking place with Palestinians that have blood on their hands, that have killed Israelis and they've been shot. Fatah brings soil from the Al-Aqsa Mosque to the grave of the murderers so that the dead body can hug the soil for which he died as a martyr. Unbelievable. One of the leaders in Israel said, "We are witnessing a kind of infectious disease of terrorism that has passed from one zombie to another." And that's really what it feels like. It feels like it's so thick demonically that you're just getting zombies that are driving cars into people, kids, teenagers that are pulling out knives and stabbing people, going through the Damascus Gate, or the way I hate to call it the Via del Rosa, but as you're going through there, it was that spot that a family was knifed, and as the woman was attempting to get help, she was bleeding, and they were spitting upon her. "Death to the Jews, die, Jew, die." Friends, this is what is happening. And in the midst of all this, a biased media refuses to report that it's the Palestinians that are actually killing Israelis. Facebook media, originally they refused to remove the Stab Israeli page that was posted, but because of friends at Sharat Hadim, friends of ours, part of a law firm, over 10,000 people signed a petition, and finally Facebook yielded to pressure and removed some of these incite messages of how to stab a Jew, or simply a page calling "Stab Israelis." There was a Jerusalem bus that was just yesterday outside of Bet Shemesh that a couple people tried to board in order to, and this bus was filled with elementary aged kids. This is really what is going on. A couple of phrases: fight the Jews any way that you can, terrorize them with explosive devices, tear them to shreds, cut off the heads of the Jews. ISIS is starting to get involved, posting YouTubes as well. An op-ed that came out from Palestinian Media Watch in Islamic sources says, "In bloody, unmistakable capital letters, the perpetuators of this new round of evil mayhem produced to Israelis," simply says this, and hear this because this is true: "We do not want to live alongside of you. We want to kill you." The handwriting is on the wall. This has nothing to do with the frustration of a two-state solution. This is, in fact, anti-Semitism at its height. We don't care about land. We care that you exist. Well, articles that you can read: John Kerry, please stay home. The IDF, we usually go to bases there, they've been called up to assist in protecting the people, not only of Jerusalem, but throughout the country as well. It appears that some of these attacks now are coordinated, no longer just the lone wolf aspect. It's hard to know who's behind it. Hamas, ISIS, or are the moderates, right? Fatah. But apparently there are some evidence that these shootings and stabbings and rock throwings and car rammings, they seem to be backed and organized. You'll see an article about the Iranian underground missile base, and I simply hope you can go to that site and watch the YouTube as the Iranians are talking about their ability to launch and to strike both Israel as well as the U.S. This is, of course, all this work that we've done to create a partner for peace, right? Notice in the very beginning of this YouTube, two flags on the ground that the Iranians are walking and wiping their feet on. Israeli flag and, you guessed it, the United States of America. The Jerusalem Post, I thought I'd give you a couple quotes about that. Now, since we've flown back, this is already outdated, but this is a few days ago. It said, over the last week, 23 attacks against Israelis have killed 8 people and wounded at least 70. The reason for the violence is clear from Facebook posts about the Palestinian attackers, that they're enraged about the statements that Abu Mazen or Abbas is making about Israel endangering the Temple Mount. Jerusalem reacted furiously to the State Department, the U.S. State Department that is, that talks about Israel having a disproportionate force in stopping the wave of stabbing attacks. And as I mentioned, when we left Beersheba, police arrested a 15-year-old teenage Palestinian girl on Wednesday who was en route to Jerusalem to carry out a terrorist attack. And under questioning, the girl confessed that she planned on stabbing as many Jews as possible, as well as police. You'll see on this next one, this labeled social media, you'll see the pictures. Make sure you check out the YouTube of the little girl, probably 6, 7, 8 years old, holding a knife in her hands that simply says, I want to stab a Jew. And my comments, enough said. That's what's going on. Call to arms, the mayor of Jerusalem has basically said any residents in Jerusalem that have permits to carry weapons should be carrying weapons at all times. When the government is, as he would say, useless, people must take action. There's a lot of debate, disapproval. You can imagine what's taking place. We're just praying and hoping that vigilante Israeli groups don't break out. We need to pray for Netanyahu at this time. And then article that you can read about moderate Jordan. Again, we've talked about the Temple Mount, France, the Jordanians. Everybody is saying, hey, we'll help out. Let's put a international police force here to do that. Once again, I guess I should probably just end with this because in case you don't know, over the last year I've been talking about Obama's legacy and what he's trying to accomplish. On his bucket list had to be the situation with Iran. You can check that one off. Listen carefully. The next box that's going to be checked off is the United States will some way be behind a movement to force Israel into a two-state solution, as if that will bring peace. Friends, it's not about the land. It's about the existence of Israel. But even beyond that, I want to read to you from the book of Zechariah, because that you can be wide, you can have the macro view, you can say it's Israel, you can zero in and say this battle is actually about Jerusalem, and you can go even further in and you can see that this battle is raging right now on the Temple Mount. Stay tuned. This is a prophecy from the book of Zechariah, a prophecy, the word of Adonai concerning Israel. Here is the message from Adonai, who stretched out the heavens, who laid the foundation of the earth, and form the spirit inside human beings. I will make Yerushalayim, I will make Jerusalem a cup of trembling, a cup that will stagger the surrounding people. Even Yehuda will be caught up in the siege against Yerushalayim. When that day comes, I will make Yerushalayim, Jerusalem, a heavy stone for all the peoples. All who try to lift it will be hurt. They'll hurt themselves, and all the earth's nations will be amassed against her. All the earth nations will be massed against her. That, my friends, is what we're seeing in this day. And so the question, well, what can we do about it? The answer, we can wake up. We can take a stand. We can pray. And prayer is the tip of the spear when it comes to spiritual warfare. Take a stand, my friends. Choose this day. Which side of the line are you going to be on? The side of the nations amassing against Israel? Or will you be one of those that will take a stand and be like those righteous Gentiles that hid Jews during the Holocaust, who took a stand and said this is the right thing to do? That's where we're at today. Now, this is our KFIR Middle East update. I want to encourage you all, make sure you stay connected. Make sure you stay reading your KFIR daily reading schedule. You're going to find that there are members, board members of our ministry, Holy Ground Explorations, that are sharing their comments with you. We feel that these Middle East updates are so important that I've asked others to begin the process of learning how to present these Middle East updates as well. You can always find them, at least one a week, on our website at Holy Ground Explorations. We'll also put the links on our Facebook page. Again, calling all KFIR, Young Lions, calling a shout out to you all. Be vocal. Share who we are, what we're about. Invite people to become a part of this fellowship. And again, just as a reminder, pray. Pray, pray, and pray some more. And so with that, this is Dan, Holy Ground Explorations, midweek KFIR Middle East update, signing off. God bless you. Shalom.